welcome to my first long form video here on YouTube. I'm more TikTok, Instagram Reels guy, but today I wanted to make a long form video because it's something I've been working on for a very long time. It is my first bracketology of the year. I'm going to be going over all my seeds, my reactions from this weekend based on their seeding, and just, breaking down what I think. So thanks for watching. Comment down below what you would change, and make sure to like. So starting off in the West region, the number one overall seed has to be Arizona. They're the most complete team in college basketball in my eyes. They have the best resume we have seen in years. Wins at UConn against Florida, who is really on the rise as of late. So Arizona is my undisputed number one overall seed, especially after the Michigan loss. Michigan was hand in hand with Arizona, but now they lost a tough game at home against Wisconsin. I think Arizona is definitely number one right now. So they'll be playing number 16 Lindenwood. They're just not in a good enough conference to really make any noise higher than a 15, 16 seed, so that's why I have them here. I think they will win the conference, but it's not a good conference from top to bottom, so they won't beat Arizona, but good luck to Lindenwood. All right, so my 8-9 games: St. Mary's, Wisconsin. These two teams have a very different play style. Wisconsin has a lot of scorers like Nick Boyd, John Blackwell. That'd be a very exciting game to watch because St. Mary's is just so they collapse on defense. They always are so disciplined. They make the tournament every year. They don't make it past the Sweet 16, but I'd really love to see this game between Wisconsin and St. Mary's. Wisconsin really started picking up as of late as well. So coming in 5 seed North Carolina, they have really outplayed expectations for me this year so far. They're 14-2 with, good losses. You lost at Michigan State at the Fort Myers Classic. That was a really tough game. They have probably one of the best front courts in the entire nation. Henry Vasar, Caleb Wilson might be the best player in college basketball besides AJ Devanza and Cam Boozer. He's just so dominant. He's so athletic, so lengthy. This is probably the best UNC team we've seen since 2023 with RJ Davis and Armando Bacot. So now coming at the 12 is Hofstra. Hofstra has had a very, very good season. They like to shoot the ball, but this is a fun team to watch, and especially coming at the 12, I have them a little higher. A lot of other bracketologists have them 13, 14, but it's just I don't see this team dropping many more games in their conference, and they just play so hot. It's a fun team to watch, and I think it's the kind of team that can pull off an upset in March. Although I do think UNC is not built to be an early round exit. So I'm going to go a little quicker through these. Illinois at the 4 seed for this region. They've picked it up as of late, looking pretty good. They're so lengthy, so disciplined. It's a team that you don't want to see in the Sweet 16 because it's just they have so many of these EuroLeague guys who have played in high pressure moments, and they're so smart and they make these amazing passes. When you watch Illinois play, it's just the ball moves so cleanly. So I'm really excited to see them play in March. And then they're playing number 13 Utah Valley. Utah Valley started off the preseason pretty well. I think they'll easily pull away with their conference. It's not really. There's a couple squads out there that could definitely show some some strat. I don't know. I don't see Utah Valley losing any more games in the WAC. So I think they'll be good. All right, 6 seed Utah State hosting St. Louis. This might be the game of the first round of my bracketology. Utah State and St. Louis might be my top 2 mid-majors in the entire country. St. Louis with Robbie Avila. This is the team we thought we'd see last year from the Billikens, and they're just putting it all together. They have great wins. They beat Santa Clara. That game was amazing. That was over a feast week. Utah State, though, they might run the table in the big Mountain West. So I can't. If Utah State keeps winning, they'll probably be higher than the 6 seed, but as of now, I got them at 6. Utah State versus St. Louis would be must-watch TV, and I really hope that's a matchup we can get in March. The 3 seed, we got Michigan State. I think they could see them pushing up 2-2, but that's probably their max, just based off all the good teams around them, and I don't see them running the table in the Big Ten because the Big Ten's so top heavy with Michigan, Purdue, Nebraska, Illinois. So I think a 3 seed's good for them. Northern Colorado at the 14, Seton Hall at 7. What Shaheen Holloway has done for this program, his alma mater, is nothing to look over. They are the worst team in the Big East last year, even behind DePaul, and this is probably the worst job in the Big East to have. They get NIL for basketball, but not as much as other schools in the Big East. And what he has done, they play so hard. It's like the St. Peter squad when he was there. They play so hard. They play so fast. You saw it in Maui. Um, and this is a team where it's just like G Holloway's been there. So it's like, do you want to play Seton Hall in March Madness when you know they have an experienced coach? He's going to ride or die for his guys, and I think all these dudes would ride or die for him. So that's why I really love Seton Hall this year, and I think they could finish second or third in the Big East. And then number 10, they have been the talk of the town in mid-major basketball. It'd be Miami of Ohio, undefeated so far in the MAC. They beat Akron twice already, and Akron was supposed to be the leaders of the MAC. Miami, Ohio, just they're so dominant. The points are spread around evenly. There's not one guy that's going out there and putting up 30 a game. It's just they play as a whole unit, and it's just really fun to watch. And they're not going to run the table on the MAC, I don't think, but I still see them winning the conference. So if they can keep doing what they're doing, I think a 10 seed would be very impressive for that program. And then ending here, the 2 seed Vanderbilt. Um, Vanderbilt has been one of the biggest surprises in college basketball. Um, Tyler Tanner, he's just a straight dog. He gets paint touches every single possession for the squad. And when you have a guy, a point guard who can do that, get it down low, kick out, find the big man, it's fun to watch. He's electric. He's an electric player, and this is just one of those teams where they can keep winning and they'll win the SEC, and everyone's kind of looking over. I'm like, oh, it's just Vanderbilt. I know they haven't played the toughest schedule, but beating Alabama at home in kind of their first test of the year when a lot of people thought they would drop one, just, you come off so many wins in a row, you can only win so many, but you beat a tough Alabama team. And, I think they really have a test this weekend playing against Florida. And if they can win that one, I think we need to really start looking at Vanderbilt as a potential to win the ACC. And then I have them playing 15 Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac, a lot of people had them around 16 and also people at the 14. I just kept them at 15 because I don't see them moving too much. I think they'll be one of those teams where it's just, they'll win their conference, but they won't move much higher than that. And I don't see them pulling off an upset. They're not that kind of play styles. Moving to the East region of my bracketology, this is where I have UConn, the number 2 overall seed in my bracket. Iowa State is a better team than UConn in my opinion, but Arizona and Iowa State have to play each other eventually. So I think UConn's not going to drop very many other games this year. So I see them coming out with the second overall seed. So they'll have the East region. I have them playing against the first playing game, Grambling versus Howard. Seems like those two teams are always finding their way into the tournament. Grambling has a lot of experience in SWAC. So, it'd be exciting to see someone win that game first to start off that first playing night. But they're not going to do anything against UConn, in my opinion. For the 8-9 game, this would be a really good game. SMU versus Auburn. It would be very electric to watch Boopy Miller versus Todd Pettiford, although Todd has been a huge disappointment this year, and I really hope he can find his way because they have Keyshawn Hall, and if Todd can just play somewhat of the kind of player he was last year, I know he has a lot more on his shoulders, but it'd be a really fun duo to watch, playing these bigger games. And I think we kind of saw that against Arkansas. They're starting to pick it up. So I think they can definitely surpass a 9 seed, but just right now, based on resume, that is what I have. That's where I have them. Louisville, I have them at the 5 playing against Yale. That would be a very, very fun game to watch. One of the best mid-majors. Louisville is a team that could be prone to lose early in March Madness just because they don't play with a lot of toughness. They don't rebound, but their guards are just so good. I don't see them getting upset. Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, and Mikel Brown. Mikel Brown just needs to stay healthy. I didn't think it would hit them this hard when he got injured, but it has. So they just really need him to stay healthy. They've kind of dropped a couple here, played a couple close games against lower teams. So they can start picking it up. They'll be fine. And then I would have them in the same bracket with Florida at the 4 seed and Liberty. Florida versus Louisville would be electric to watch in the second round. One of the best second round games by far if this happened. Um, I think Florida is really starting to find their footing, and they're going to be fine. Xavier Lee's starting to get more comfortable in the offense. Boogie Fland, you can see he's their go-to guy when they need a big play from a guard, and their front court. I mean, their front court's dominant every single game, and that'll never change. So I'm really confident in Florida, and I think they're playing so much better as the season goes by. For the 6 seed, I have Arkansas. I think this team will be much higher than a 6 seed, but as of now, they just came off a very disappointing loss against Auburn, 20, 30 points. It was just disheartening to watch. They didn't really play with much effort and intensity. But, I think Calipari will get the guys together. It's just, that's when you flush away. It'll be fine. It's going to happen in SEC play, especially playing in these tough games on the road or even at home. So I think the Razorbacks will be fine, and I have them playing in the play-in game, New Mexico versus TCU. This would be a very fun game to watch. Braden Harding, he has been pretty good for TCU, and this is not a team I saw coming anywhere close to a NCAA tournament bid, especially after that loss to New Orleans early in the year. But honestly, the way they're playing right now, I think they'll sneak in. So I have them 11 playing New Mexico, and man, the job that New Mexico has done this year. I mean, they lost their entire roster to the transfer portal last year, so it's really impressive to see what they've done. I mean, they could be the second best team in the Mountain West right now. Eric Olin, I mean, Eric Olin has done a fantastic job coming in for the Lolos, so that'd be, I think, really fun game to watch, especially on that opening night of playing games. So, 3 seed BYU playing Oakland. Oakland, they started off like 0-5, playing against the best teams in the nation every single day. So they played Houston, Michigan, they played Michigan State. This is such a good team, and I think they can win the Horizon with ease. Just you have Greg Campy at the helm, so I don't see them. I could see them not winning because you got teams like Northern Kentucky, Cleveland State who are pretty good here and there, but I think Oakland will win the conference, and BYU 3 seed. I think that's good for where they are right now. They've only lost one game, but they don't really have that statement win yet. So I'd like to see more out of them, but I think we will, especially in the Big 12. And then for the 7-10 matchup, I got Georgia UCLA. That'd be a very fun game to watch. UCLA has been very disappointing though, and they just haven't got a lot from the transfers. Xavier Booker has had a really awful year so far. And then Tana Vidette, who is supposed to be the transfer portal product, has not really played like a top 5 point guard like he was last year. And I think it'll take some getting used to, but playing in the Big Ten when you're traveling across the country back and forth, that's just a hard thing to do. So I think they need to start racking up a couple of these bigger wins if they want to really solidify themselves into the tournament. But as of now, I have them in. And then for the 2 seed, I've got Duke playing East Tennessee State at the 15. Duke could definitely sneak their way up into a 1 seed. It would just take a couple more losses from the Purdue's and the Michigans and the UConns. And I think Iowa State, Houston, and Arizona will all eventually start eating each other up. So that could create space for Duke to move up to that one. But as of now, I have them at the 2 seed. But they do have a plethora of amazing wins. So this is a great Duke team. I think this team is built for March. You have Cam Boozer, who's just a winner. He's won his whole career. And I think as Cade Boozer starts to run the offense at point guard and it kind of starts to like take control of things, I think the Cam start playing better and the whole team kind of moves at one. And they just need more out of Isaiah Evans. I think he's supposed to be like the go-to guy outside of Cam Boozer. So, we've seen flashes of him. He's made big shots like again in that Florida game. So once we see more out of him, I'll become more confident in Blue Devils. So I'm excited to see them in March. All right, in the Midwest region, I got Iowa State at 1, Vermont at 16. Iowa State, they're just one of the best defensive teams in the nation, one of the most consistent teams in the nation. I'm really excited to see this team play. I think it's the best team that TJ Altenberger has put together as for his tenure with the Cyclones. Vermont always seems to find their way into the tournament. I think they will again this year. For the 8-9 game, Clemson, Missouri, the Tiger matchup. Missouri has been a very pleasant surprise. I thought they'd be kind of middle to end of the pack in the SEC, but Mark Mitchell is just such a dog, and he's just always got those boys rolling from Missouri, and that win at Kentucky was really impressive. And they'd be playing Clemson. Brad Brownell, he's won in the tournament, and he finds his way to the tournament every year. I think this game would be very good, and it'd be back and forth, and it'd be a test to see how Missouri can do into the tournament, especially with their older guys. They kind of disappointed last year against Drake. They couldn't score much. They didn't really have an answer for Drake's defense. So I hope to see them take bigger steps in the tournament this year. For the 5-12 game, I have Tennessee versus McNeese. McNeese finds the tournament again, and they have just done such a good job building this roster back after the loss of Will Wade. Um, he took everything. He donated money back to the program, and they might have used that to bring in some new guys. They've been very impressive, one of the better mid majors, and no one really saw it coming after the major loss. Tennessee has been very disappointing. After that Louisville loss and beginning of the season, I thought they could be the best team in the SEC, but they just have had so many games where they've struggled. The game at Florida was just really bad on all sorts of on every side of the floor. Turnovers. Jacoby Gillespie, he's doing all he can, but he just needs help from these other guys. Nate Ahmet, he's still a freshman, and he can't have that much pressure on his back to be the Robin to Jacoby Gillespie's Batman. So I think they'll start working it out as Nate Ahmet gets more comfortable. In his freshman season, he's only going to get better. I think they could definitely make damage. I think this team is built to win in March. So I think they can, and I think they will. But it would be tough coming in if they play this 4 seed who I have, Texas Tech. Texas Tech's not a deep team, but in my opinion, being deep isn't a huge deal in March. You're going to play your best guys down the stretch. And when you have Christian Anderson, JT Toppin on the same team, it's going to be hard to lose. I have them playing High Point. High Point plays fast, but I think Texas Tech would pull out with it. I'm really excited to see Texas Tech. They've gotten better every game they played. And that Duke game was really the stepping stone, I think, for that team, and they've really started to find their stride. For the 6th seed, I have Iowa, and I have been playing it against the winner of the playing game, Tulsa versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M was very disappointing at the beginning of the year. I thought Bucky McGill was going to bring this team a lot of energy, a new look for the Aggie basketball, and he has in the SEC play. He just won a major game at Auburn. He's 3-0 in the SEC. What a surprise, especially after their non-conference start. It's been a very fun thing to watch, and I just really hope that this team can make the tournament because they're so fun to watch, and I love Bucky McMillan. And playing Tulsa, who I think is another one of the best mid-major teams in the nation, I think they're going to run away with the American at this point. Memphis has been really bad, honestly, so I think Tulsa's going to win the American, and they're going to get the automatic qualifier, and I think they could make it even without it, possibly, if they keep winning. So that'd be a very fun playing game to watch, Tulsa, Texas A&M, and then playing Iowa. I'm really excited to watch Benton Sturts play in March Madness again after last year. I think this team he has a better chance to go farther with this Iowa team than he did with Drake last year. So I'm excited to watch them play, and hopefully he can make a run. I love watching them. 3 seed, I dropped Gonzaga down to 3 seed. Bracket Matrix, a lot of the other places, KenPom has Gonzaga a lot higher, but I've just started to lose they don't have a very very big signature win. They've had a couple good ones, but it's just that loss to Michigan. I still think about that, and you lose by 40, and I know Michigan's dominant; they're amazing, but losing by 40 to any team that loses by 40, I don't have trust in you anymore. So I think they can build their way back, but they just need to start dominating these games again because they almost lost to San Diego the other night. And I think a team like Santa Clara is going to give them trouble. St. Mary's could definitely pull away from them. So that's why I dropped into the 3 seed, but they're still amazing. You got Graham Ike, and you got Titan Grant Foster and Braden Smith. All three of those guys are able to win, and they're going to help them win in March. So I think once they get to the tournament, they'll be fine, but I just don't see them as a 2 seed as of now. For the 7-10, I have Miami and Kentucky. Miami, Florida, that is. Trey Donaldson, whether you like him or not, is a straight hooper and one of the clutchest guys in the nation. He just had 26 and 10 in that Wake Forest game. He just goes out and he balls. You also have a lot of this team's full of transfers, and I really love what they've done. True Washington coming in from New Mexico, he's been a pretty big hand in helping them win. So I'm excited to see this Miami team play, and if they played Kentucky in the first round, that'd be a very fun game to watch. Kentucky, I think they're starting to get a little better here. It's just there's so many ups and downs. Jane Quaintance, Brandon Lowe suffering those injuries again after we thought we'd get them back. They need to stay healthy for this Kentucky team to win. And this is a little disappointing. They spent so much money on this roster and they're a 10 seed. So once they start finding their pieces, I think the highest they could get up to as of now is a 6. But that'd be a lot of winning would need to happen. But you have the chance to do it in the SEC. So, and for my 2 seed in this bracket, I struggled a lot with the 1 and 2 seed, the 1 seed in the next region, Purdue, Michigan. I would have said Michigan was maybe the number 1 overall seed until this Saturday that Wisconsin lost. It's just when I weigh out Purdue and Michigan, Purdue has the better loss to Iowa State, who is a top 2 team in the country, and Michigan had a home loss to Wisconsin, who was kind of on the brink of the NCAA tournament. And I think Purdue has a better win. Yeah, wins over Texas Tech, win at Alabama over Michigan's really good win against Gonzaga. It's really hard for me. I went back and forth. I ended up putting Michigan at the 2 as of now, just because the loss wasn't as good, and they haven't looked great so far in Big Ten play. But I mean, don't be surprised if they're the number 1 seed by the end of the season in March. So I've been playing Lipscomb. So yeah, I'm excited to see that game. If we got to see Michigan versus Miami or Michigan versus Kentucky in the second round, it'd be very fun to watch. And ending it off in the South region, I have Purdue playing the winner of Colgate and LIU Brooklyn. Go Sharks! I really hope LIU can be able to play March Madness. Man, I love that school. That's just the Shark Tank is one of the best environments of college basketball, and it's something you got to see to believe. I've seen it on TV. I've seen the videos. Man, it's just they've got a lot of good fans behind them. So that'd be absolutely awesome if LIU was able to make the tournament. And who knows? Purdue likes to lose to high seeded teams, so maybe they could pull off the upset. The 8-9 game, I have UCF. Just came off a win against Kentucky. They've looked really good against Virginia Tech, one of my favorite teams in the nation. I think Virginia Tech is better than a 9 seed, but just based off resume, I have to put them there. That would be a very fun game to watch. If I got to see Virginia Tech versus Purdue in the second round, that would be peak hoops. I cannot wait. Nicholas Abdelas, Braden Smith, both running their helms. Whew, that'd be fun to watch. I really hope we can see something. I want to see them play in March, Virginia Tech. So Alabama, Hawaii. Hawaii is my favorite mid-major team in the nation, and if they're going to pull off an upset, it's going to be against this Alabama team. So don't be surprised when March comes around, and if Hawaii's in the field of 68, I might pick them just because I fall in love with this team. They only have a couple losses. They lost to Oregon by 1 point to begin the season. Um, I love this squad, and I think it's a team that can pull off an upset in March, and they're fun to watch, and Alabama's had their struggles, so who knows. Virginia at the 4, they've looked really well. The things that Ryan Odom has done with this team have been nothing short of amazing. Bringing this program back, it's old Virginia basketball. They play well defense. They're really fun to watch, and I think this is a team that can do damage in March like the old Virginia teams. Um, Now, am I gonna say it's like the old Tony Bennett teams? No, no, they're not. But they're a team that can win a couple games when it comes down to it. So Malik Thomas is an absolute dog, and Feaster Ritter, we saw in that Virginia Tech game on New Year's Eve. He's just when he can get into his flow, getting rebounds, kicking it out, getting to the basket. He's a tough guy to guard, so I'm excited to see them play in March and see kind of the old Virginia back after the last couple of years have been really hard to watch. One of the worst offenses ever, like in any sport, not even just basketball, just the worst ever. Um, 6, I have Kansas. They've been really bad. It's just because the Darren Peterson thing. He's either on the floor and then he'll take himself out, and then it's just Trey White has to learn how to play without him, and Melvin Council likes to be the guy who has the ball in his hands, but when Darren Peterson's on the floor, he's not. It's just a lot of changing things, and so I have him at a 6 right now just because I think Darren Peterson will eventually be healthy. If he stays healthy, they'll be fine. They'll be one of the better teams in the Big 12, but as of now, I can't put them higher than that. And they're coming off a bad loss at West Virginia, so I think 6 is a good spot for them, and I have them playing number 11 Indiana. I really want to see Indiana make the tournament. Um, Wilkerson is just so fun to watch, dude. He's one of those guys where it's just like give him the ball and let him be him. Um, I want to see Tucker DeVries play in March Madness. They got robbed last year, West Virginia, with Darren DeVries, so I want to see him play, even though he was injured last year. So I think that'd be a very fun game to watch, and I would not be surprised if Indiana pulled off the upset if Darren Peterson was up and down. Um, Number 3, Nebraska. I really wanted to put them higher, but I just can't put them over any of these 2 seeds as of now. Besides Vanderbilt, I went back and forth, but I have Nebraska at 3. But I think eventually they'll start racking up even more wins, and they can move up to a 2 and maybe a 1 seed. The win against Michigan State was amazing. They shot the ball so well. The game at Indiana was nuts. So I have them at a 3 right now, but they can definitely be a 1 or 2 seed. At the 7-10 in this bracket, I have Villanova and NC State. NC State's been a major disappointment. Trey Holloman has not. He's been so up and down this year, and Darren Williams is just. He's not the national player of the year that many people thought he could be. I picked him to be my ACC player of the year. Um, they haven't really found their footing. They've been so here or there. Um, I mean, if they played Villanova in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised if they won. This team has they're one of the most talented teams in the country, but they just haven't played like it. Um, Villanova's looked really good. It's refreshing to see Villanova basketball back to being a tournament team, especially after the last 2 years they've been hard to watch. So that'd be a fun game to watch in the first round. And I have 2 seed Houston, my favorite. I would say to win the national championship. They're bringing back a lot of their team. Kingston Flemings might be the best freshman guard in the nation, best guard in the nation. And it frees up Milos Uzan to being this like guy who can just come down. He can play Robin. He shoots the ball well, and they're so good defensively. This is a team I'd say they are locked to make the Final Four. And I have them playing 15 seed Tennessee Martin. That would be a very fun game to watch. Tennessee Martin is a very fun team, and they pulled off a couple upsets earlier in the season. For my last 4 teams in, I have TCU, New Mexico, Indiana, and all right, for my last 4 teams in, I have Indiana, TCU, Texas A&M, and New Mexico. I mean, this can easily change. These are the 4 teams I think have looked the best resume, and Texas A&M's and New Mexico are kind of the ones that I'm not so sure about, especially with teams like Ohio State and Creighton, who I have as the first 4 out. Ohio State, Creighton, Oklahoma State, Stanford. Stanford's had a lot of good wins, but their non-conference has just been so like they've lost bad games, but they've won great games. They just beat Louisville. So and Felix Akpara is one of the best scorers in college basketball. He's so fun to watch. So I hope Stanford can make the tournament just so I can watch him. And I also watch Bruce Thornton play in March, so I hope they can make it too. But Jake Diebler is still running the helm, so probably won't happen. And then for my next 4 out, after first 4 out, Ohio State, Creighton, Oklahoma State, Stanford. Next 4 out, I have Butler, George Mason, San Diego State, VCU. San Diego State's been a huge kind of disappointment this year. They just haven't really seen a lot from their guards. Boone Gloth, he's here or there every game. They're a team that when you get into Mountain West play, they could start winning a lot of these games, maybe knocking off a team like Utah State. Yeah, they can easily make it. But as of now, from what we've seen, I don't see them being a March team, especially with the offense that struggled a lot. George Mason, I really struggled on them. It's just they don't have the resume to be in right now. They're 16-1 though, and I mean when they get into the A10, if they can win a couple of these games, if they win the conference, they can be high seeded, maybe a 10, maybe a 9. So I'm excited to see them play, and I think they're a team that could sneak in there, especially. I think the A10s are very good this year compared to last year's. I know people say it every year, but they're pretty underrated. So that's it for my bracketology. Um, just give me some grace. It was my first time ever making a bracketology, first time making a long video like this. It's going to be my first time editing a video like this. So I'm gonna see what I can do. Thanks for watching. Please go subscribe. I'll be dropping my lists here, my bracketology. Each bracket will be on Instagram and TikTok, so please go check those out. Go follow my TikTok, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, drop a comment down below. Thanks for watching.